If you're ever wondering why some places in the world seem to have really great things that just aren't possible where you live, you need to know what the Overton window is. And I'm talking about this because it looks like a democratic socialist is about to become mayor of the national epicenter of capitalism, arguably the global epicenter of capitalism, which is not only crazy, it is made possible by a shift in the Overton window. In political science, the Overton window is the range of ideas and policies that are considered socially acceptable to discuss, propose, or enact. Political ideas can fall anywhere from unthinkable and radical to mainstream and no-brainers. So most of the ideas that the media, politicians, thought leaders, and then by consequence everyday people talk about when it comes to politics are in the mainstream. They're in the Overton window. Therefore, what is and isn't talked about really affects people's imaginations of what's even possible. That better things are possible than the shitty, unjust realities they live in. The most classic example of a recent shift in the Overton window is Bernie Sanders and the conversation around universal healthcare in the United States. While Bernie didn't become president, his campaign significantly shifted the Overton window of the United States, bringing universal healthcare into the mainstream, which again, the rest of the world has already had forever, but before 2016 in the United States, it was considered impossible and radical and an absolute no. And now pretty much every poll shows that the majority of Americans want universal healthcare, 88% of Democrats and like 46% of Republicans. The very same can be said for Zohran Mamdani, who has opened up the imaginations of New Yorkers for what is even possible and what kind of New York they could even be living in. Cuomo and the billionaires that fund him, along with most of the mainstream media, frame him as radical for his ideas on how to make New York City more affordable for the people that live there. Ideas like freezing the rent, raising the minimum wage, free buses, free childcare, building affordable housing, and raising corporate tax rates to pay for all of this. The framing of these very basic policies as impossible or radical is why I draw your attention to the Overton window. It's only radical here. The list of cities that have frozen rents when they've become extremely unaffordable, have free public transportation, free childcare, and have a livable minimum wage is enormous. If you look at the world through the lens of what is possible and working well in other places, you'll stop listening to the bullshit reasons as to why it can't be done where you are. To quote this TikTok comment, we literally invented Bluetooth. If humans can invent shit that literally no one understands how it works, I promise you we can do these very simple things to make New York City more affordable to everyday people. So if you live in New York City and you felt like a more affordable world was impossible, just look outside the window and vote for Zohran Mamdani.